877-3DP Show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle @DP Show. We make way for Dan Orlovsky, ESPN football analyst. You can catch him on NFL Live every weekday at 4 Eastern on ESPN. Good to see you again. How many franchise quarterbacks are there in the NFL?
I'd probably say 12 right now would be my guess off the top of my head. I mean, you'd have to say no question, Josh Allen at 1, Drake May is 2, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow 3, 4. I'm not going to put Rodgers in there just because of his age. I'm talking a little bit of longevity. CJ Stroud, no doubt.
Mahomes.
What's that?
Mahomes.
Yep, Mahomes, Herbert. I think Bo Nix is trending there, but it's probably too early to say without a doubt. I'll say that because I'm putting Drake May in there. So I think Nix has done enough. Jalen Hurts, no question. Dak Prescott.
Jordan Love.
Jared Goff. Matthew Stafford. I'm not going to put Stafford in there once again because of age. Purdy. Sam Darnold. So you're probably at 14, 15.
Man, you're friendly.
Well, I mean, depends on like what you want out of the franchise quarterback. I mean, I would put the franchise quarterback into one group that has 2 tiers. The first tier would be we win games because of you. And that's a very small group. That's Lamar, that's Patrick, that's Josh. Joe's probably in there. And then there's the group that we win a lot of games with you. And that's probably the group that fills up that another 10 bodies. Jaden Daniels would be in there as well. So, I mean, I'm under the belief, Dan, that this is the best and deepest quarterback the NFL has ever seen. I mean, I just routed off 15 Baker Mayfield, 15, 16 really, really, really good quarterbacks that, again, there's only 3 or 4 that they erase everything, but there's a ton that you win just a bunch of games with.
Lamar Jackson last night, I've always felt like the critics or analysts maybe underrate his passing, or they did early, and he became more of a runner. Now he's running less. It's 5 carries a game with the hamstring injury. He's probably not going to run as much. But what's that do to the offense? If you're a defensive coordinator and you know Lamar is not going to be taken off 10 times a game, maybe 5 times a game, how does that change your philosophy against them?
Yeah, I would say right now it wouldn't. Lamar's always a threat. I don't believe there's any defensive coordinator out there that's, still not focusing at a hyper level of Lamar and his ability to make plays. I'll go. And when you sit in these production meetings for Monday Night Football and you talk to these defensive coordinators, more often than not, one of the things that they will bring up is we got to make sure that we can't allow this guy to be a scrambler. And this is not Lamar. This is most quarterbacks nowadays. I think this is the most yards run for by all quarterbacks in the NFL through 8 weeks that we've ever seen. So, but I don't think that there's a defensive coordinator saying, or under the impression you don't have to pay a ton of attention to it. It's still such a huge part of his game. It's still the threat that is such a huge part. Might be a little bit different now, Dan, in comparison to maybe 3-4 years ago, because, I mean, this season's a little unique because of, the injury, but earlier on, it was more designed runs, more runs where he would be one of the 2 real options to carry the football. Now it's more likely for him to scramble, a second down pass situation, third down pass situation. So I still think he's equally as impactful. It's just a little bit more of a secondary play rather than a secondary option carrying the ball.
Vegas loves the Ravens. They love them to win the division.
As they should.
But, okay, what's missing with the Steelers then? Why are the Ravens going to be that much better than the Steelers?
Well, I think the way that Vegas sees it is this is the roster that, for the most part, won 14 games last year. They were historically great offensively in Baltimore last year. And everybody on that offense is back, essentially. So part of the reason why their schedule is, or their record is what it is because the injuries early on. And then obviously the first game in the year, Derek fumbles, all that. But last night was the first time we saw that group fully healthy. So we're taking a team that last year broke historical records in their offensive performance and production. Most of that group is back. So they should be a very good offense. I don't know if they'll replicate last year. And then that was a defense last year that, once again, for the most part, back half of the season was a top 5 unit. Most of those pieces are back. It's one of the reasons why many of us thought this was a no-brainer Super Bowl contender. Matabike being injured is a big deal. And so I think that the understanding of this is what the roster had accomplished last year, this is who the roster is this year, it's relatively the same. This should be a team that, should win, even at sitting at 3-5 right now. I mean, they should sniff getting to 11-6, 10-7 at worst. Wow. And so it's a better roster than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I still give the Steelers the edge to win the division. I'm not panicking over the 2-game losing streak. It's still Rodgers. I wouldn't be surprised if Baltimore chased them down, because those 2 losses are, 2 that they should not have allowed.
If you ran the Dolphins, I'm not going to say if you were general manager, because he might not keep his job. If you're Stephen Ross, what do you do at the trade deadline, and what do you do by the end of the season?
Trade deadline, I think Waddle's an outstanding player. I would see if I can get real value for Waddle. I like a lot of the things the Dolphins have done. You don't build your football team over the long haul by the perimeter players getting paid a gajillion bucks. It's just very difficult to do that unless you're ridiculous at drafting. So I would see if I can get really good kind of compensation for Waddle. I would absolutely look into trading both of my defensive ends. Both of those guys are good players, but they've got a little bit of an injury past. And it's obvious that roster needs a rebuild. That roster is devoid of talent. So both Phillips and Chubb, I would look to see if I can get really good value out of them. That's probably what I would lean on when it comes to like the trade deadline and think people that I would entertain moving for value. What would I do moving forward? I'm a fan of Mike McDaniels. I really am. I don't think, in my perspective is this, Dan, 2 years ago, this offense was flying high. I called the Monday Night Football game in Miami the first week of December when they were playing for the 1 seed 2 years ago. And then injuries derailed the season and they really haven't recovered. I don't think the guy forgot how to coach. I don't think Tua forgot how to play. It's easier said than done. It's not my job on the line, but I still think he can coach and I still think that quarterback can play. But that roster really has a lot of voids talent-wise that would need a significant uptick in ability.
Yeah, but you didn't put Tua in your franchise quarterbacks.
Yeah, I didn't Jaden as first either. I ran out of names. I would put Tua in that group, absolutely. As far as ability to play, now, the caveat, the asterisk with Tua is, one, there's a very specific scheme that he can only play in. It's this one. It's the only scheme that he can really thrive in. Now, I think he's one of the only guys in the league that can play in that way because of the space of their passing game and the anticipation. So does that hinder the coach that can be his coach? No question. And then the 2 is you're always going to have the health issues kind of looming over the top of Tua, but I would put him in that group. No doubt.
Talking to Dan Orlovsky of the Mothership, NFL Live, every weekday. They start at 4 Eastern. We make a big deal about the Chiefs and the Bills. And it just feels like we want this to be a rivalry.
Sure.
I don't know if it is a rivalry.
Why? Because the Bills haven't won?
Yeah.
Well, the Bills have won a ton in the regular season, right? So in that regard, there's no doubt about it that it is. They obviously haven't gotten it done.
It's like the Colts and the Patriots when Peyton was playing Tom. It's like the Red Sox and Yankees before the Red Sox finally won. It's, hey, great regular season, and then it comes to, nut cutting time, and they fail.
Yeah, I think the way that the games go in the postseason make me think a little bit more towards this is a bona fide rivalry. Both quarterbacks have been exceptional in those games. We don't have, the journey of Mahomes and some of the really kind of moments that he's had. We don't have that 13-second dump off to Kelsey kicked field goal unless we have that Allen performance. 2 years ago, we don't have the Mahomes journey unless we have Josh being unbelievable and then the drop and the missed field goal. We don't have that last year again with Patrick's run to the Super Bowl unless we have that unbelievable game in Kansas City. So, I think because of that performance, I mean, to your point, I understand that they haven't gotten it done in the playoffs, but they're still great games and the quarterbacks have been great. And so I think that bona fides rivalry.
Have the Chiefs gotten into the Patriots category of their hateable?
Oh gosh, yeah. They've been there. I mean, I have 4 kids. We're a sports family. Part of this is because my wife is a Philly girl, so my kids are diehard Philly sports fans. And I say this, and I love Patrick. My sons hate Patrick. They can't stand him, because he's Patrick.
Good. Yes.
Yes, that's the reason why. I mean, they're Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, so much better. And I'm like, guys, Patrick's ridiculous. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of people that dislike them because of their success. No question.
Do you break down Patrick Mahomes for your boys to understand?
All the time, but they don't want to listen to it. Like they don't want to listen to it. I'll be like, guys, Patrick Mahomes can do stuff that no one can't. The first name out of their mouth, they'll be like, Jalen Hurts could do that, and I'll be like, no, Jalen's a great player, but like, he's not this person, and so I break him down all the time to him. I think I do that for a lot of the quarterbacks, but yeah, Patrick is a guy that I'm Aaron playing so well. I'm like, and Matthew, Dad used to play, with these guys, and then they make fun of me for being old. But yeah, they're into it.
Feels like Jalen Hurts is more of a rival to Patrick Mahomes than Josh
Allen.
Yes,
because he's gotten it done in the playoffs.
Yes, that's what I want to know. What do you do when you have to win a game? When I'm relying on you to win a game? Josh Allen's a wonderful talent. So is Lamar Jackson. But you don't want to be Charles Barkley or Patrick Ewing to Michael Jordan.
Sure. Well, I would tell you that Josh and Lamar, while in the same group of not getting it done, one has not had it happen, not because of his performance. I mean, Josh has been great. Lamar is the guy that we would sit there and go, exceptional player. He's the one who has fallen a little bit more flat in those matchups and or in the playoffs than Josh has. So I agree with you. They got to get it done. I mean, it's everyone. I think there's a vast majority of NFL fans that look at Buffalo and look at Baltimore and go, we hope you get it done. We want to see you finally win it because both franchises have been so good for the past 5 or 6 years. Both quarterbacks are great. There's nothing else for either quarterback to accomplish other than that. And both organizations are very well run. So I think there's a huge group that would love to see a Baltimore or Buffalo get it done, but they got to get it done.
How challenging is it on a daily basis when you go into the mothership, you see the rundown, and the Cleveland Browns and Shador Sanders or the Cowboys are going to be on there? And you got to come up with something new, something fresh.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I always say this next month is the hardest month for me at my job. I know who the playoff teams are for the most part, or at least the group. I know what they're good at. I know what they're not good at. I can only go on TV so much and tell these people, this team can run the ball. This team can't. This team's quarterback's really good. This team's isn't. And so you get into a little bit of a monotony in that element. And then I know that, okay, the Cowboys are going to be on there. Shador is going to be a talking point. I think being on daily, I think the people behind the scenes know me well enough. What do you have to say about the Cowboys? Nothing. I don't have to say anything about the Cowboys, guys. I don't want to talk about the Cowboys. Well, we have to talk about the Cowboys. No, we don't. We can go one day without talking about the Cowboys. I mean, you know how it is at ESPN. I always say, some of the reality is there's so many programs at ESPN, and it takes so much manpower to operate each program as well as they do that there's a little bit of a silo reality. 7 o'clock Sports Center is really concerned about 7 o'clock Sports Center. And so they're trying to make their version of that show as good as possible. They don't care if at 8 o'clock Get Up is getting, the first thing out of their mouth is the Cowboys. They're focused on theirs. And so it's challenging. I try to find different ways to talk about the teams or educate the teams or the situations. I think I've learned, Dan, I have to be very disciplined. I have to be very disciplined because I think when I was younger, you fall into the mindset of you have to say something, and then 10 minutes after saying it, you go, why did I just say that? That was stupid. I don't actually think that way. And so I tried to get very disciplined about it all.
Yeah, and look, I understand there are times when you talk about the Cowboys, that offense, and Dak was playing really well. It's a shame they don't have an average defense because they'd be a playoff team. The Browns situation is, it feels like, everybody is pushing for this Shador Sanders moment. Social media wants this badly.
Yeah.
And I hope he gets a chance to play. Dylan Gabriel, give him, 6, 7, 8 starts. There's your sample size. Can he play? Same thing with Shador Sanders. But being a rookie and, getting pushed in there with a bad team, I don't know if like Cam Ward, I don't know how good Cam Ward is. Because he's on a bad team. And you're going to put him in there, and then all of a sudden it's going to be, well, you put him in there and the team's not any good. Either way, it feels like you can't win in this situation.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing that, with the Cam Ward thing, I think you can unequivocally watch Cam Ward throw and be like, yep, we can do that. There's a lot to work with there. I think your point with the Shador situation is totally fair. The attention that Shador has gathered and earned in some ways, we know why. I mean, he was a high-end high school recruit that went with his dad to a small school. They were super successful. They go to Colorado. They do a lot of successful things at Colorado. He was a controversial draft prospect because of stories and play and talent and how good is he and whatnot and all that. I think that Shador is eventually going to play this season. I would not be surprised if he plays within the next 3 or 4 games unless things drastically change with Dylan Gabriel and his performance, because he's just been okay, if probably at best. It's not going to be an ideal situation for Shador. It very rarely is for rookie quarterbacks, certainly ones that are drafted late. And so Shador is going to have to make the best of it when he gets out there, if he gets out there. But I agree, it's not going to be the ideal situation to truly evaluate how good he is. But that doesn't mean he can't take advantage of it and really start to raise some eyebrows in the building.
What's the fan base that has a problem with you the most?
Whew. Oh, man. I mean, kids, I feel like I go in stretches. Last year, Pittsburgh hated me, but I was right. Kansas City, but Kansas City twists my words more than anybody. Like, I'll say, again, part of my job is to talk about, I'm not a cheerleader. Part of my job is to be critical of either performances or potential. And so if you say something somewhat negative or, foreshadowing a potential hiccup for a team, you hate them. No, I don't. I feel like the Eagles have gone up and down with me, and the Cowboys fans always hate me. But again, I've always been right about the Cowboys. I feel like I've been pretty dead on about the Eagles. I've been pretty dead on about the Chiefs. Buffalo fans, for the most part, love me. Baltimore fans hate me because they think I stole the MVP from Lamar last year, which I literally voted for him the year before. So it's ebbs and flows, man. Ebbs and flows.
That's good. Got to be careful when you're walking through the airports.
Oh, man. No, but the funny thing is, I would tell you that 99.9999999% of the interaction that I ever have in public is like overwhelmingly humbling. It's very nice. And then social media, I'm like, yo, these people are out of their minds, man. But it happens. I get text messages from people. I get text messages from family or friends saying, like, stop bad-mouthing us. And I'll be like, I'm not bad-mouthing you. I said your defense has to play better. Like, you guys gave up 30. What do you? So.
Thanks for joining us. Have a good weekend. Appreciate
Always.
it. That's Dan Orlovsky of the Mothership. You can see him on NFL Live every weekday at 4 Eastern.